What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I didn't realize that this got released today. We're going to be talking about Food Wars Shokugeki no Sanji, chapters 1 and 2. I didn't realize chapter 2 got released today. So we're going to be talking about both these chapters just because Sanji is one of my favorite Straw Hats, one of my favorite characters in One Piece. Shokugeki no Soma is one of my favorite series, and I want to cover it sometime in the future on the channel. But, for the time being, we're going to be talking about, the Sanji chapters. So let's just hop right on into this. Oh, so that's the notorious floating restaurant, First glance, it looks deplorably third-rate. And we see Sanji just, finishing off his smoke like always. And we see this lady basically saying it's nothing but low-class slop. And then we just see the customers and the other chefs just doing that little dead eye like, oh, you bitch. And she's basically saying, I would rather be a derelict barge such as this not dare presume to call itself a restaurant. And it's an insult to gourmet taste everywhere. And the other chefs are just like, who does she even think she is, huh? Is that a woman or even human? Looks almost like a Neptunian to me. Want me to kick her out? Wait a minute, is that who I think it is? And then she's like, oh, she gets those little surprise. You there, waiter, a moment please. And Sanji's just like, what? Waiter? And he's like, oh, you meant me. He's like, I'm sorry, I was just getting off my break. What can I do for you? Be a dear and call the head chef for me, please. I'd like to have a few words with him before I leave it. Oh my god, I hate I work in the restaurant industry, so she's just a whole nother level of bitch. And he's all, my apologies, madam, but it just so happens that he's out acquiring supplies today. Wait, you're leaving, but you haven't touched your food. And she's like, oh, there's no need. I've seen enough. If the head chef isn't here, then I'll be on my way. Sanji just, he looks up and he's just like, oh, why the hurry? Isn't it a little cruel to ignore these poor dishes? The guy with the earrings and whatever. And it's like, let her go, Sanji. She wants to leave, let her. Just make sure she pays first. Nope, we can't let her walk out that door, boys. Paying customers are customers, no matter how bad they are. And to let her go like this would be a big disservice to all the other customers who generously came here today. If it was just some hooligan spoiling for trouble, I'd give him a big old knuckle sandwich. But if somebody's got a problem with the flavors we're serving, well then my fist ain't gonna be enough. We gotta show folks what happened when you diss on the good name of Baratier. Patty, carne. I think it's carne. I mean, it's a food, so it makes sense. And they're just holding up these giant forks and knives. It's like, what makes you think you got the right to talk about our food like that, eh? How about trying one of our specialties next? Let's see how big a talker you are then. Chef's just like, oh yeah, now I remember, that's Sovereign, famous gourmet whose name is known even on the Grand Line. Sovereign or Sovereign? I don't know. I'm just gonna call her a bitch. People call her the tongue that spans the seas. Big time player on the foodie scene, she does it all, from writing reviews for dozens of publications, including the News Coup, to doing event plannings and employing chefs for royal summits. She's got backers galore in both the political and financial spheres. I've heard that her bad reviews have spelled doom for countless restaurants around the world. Oh yeah, I've heard of her. So that's the tongue that spans the seas. I generally spend my time working with only the highest qualities of hot cuisine restaurants, but then I heard a rumor of a notorious floating restaurant and on a whim decided to give it a try. The result, well, as anyone would have expected, really. Whoa, hold it. Who cares about any of that? All I'm saying is clean your plate before. You know what? I think I will be generous and give you another chance. But if you can't please my tongue with this last dish, I'll write a review stating that anyone who enjoys food at Baratier hasn't a working taste bud in the whole of their mouths. I'll do it. And so the chefs just start fighting. They're starting to fight. And it's like, I'll do it. No way. Who'd leave it up to you? I'll do it. Say that again? No. I'll be the one to shut her up. You're trying to start something, huh? All the chefs are trying to fight over who gets to cook. Shut up. All of you. How do you expect our customers to enjoy a peaceful meal with everybody shouting like that? And I'll be the one to cook that dish, so get your butts back to work. What a fan of all the times for the head chef to be out. And, Sanji's just like, he's letting off a puff of smoke. He's like, I feel sorry for you. Being shackled to a dead-end barge like this. If you'd like, I'd happily put in a good word for you at a more appropriate establishment. Thanks, but no thanks. See, I owe a thing or two to the owner here. I can't just pack up and leave. Oh, push. Don't give me that sentimental hooey. This is business. The only thing of value are money and reputation. Letting sentiment sway you is a sign of being second rate. Well, I suspected as much from the beginning. Simple novelty is the only reason anyone could come to a place like this. It certainly wouldn't be for the food. Listen, true gourmet can whet the appetite and spur imagination at only a glance. The finest of luxury ingredients, prepared by a skilled elite. Only a dish like that has any true value. Baratier has nothing like that, and thus it has no worth. It is merely another third-rate eatery, serving up slop for commoners with no taste or vision. First I was upset, but now I just find it sad. The owner is an older gentleman, yes? It's perhaps senile to consider a cheap rundown excuse for a restaurant like this as treasure. Sanji's so... you done fucked up. His cigarette literally just like blows up in his mouth, and he's just so furious. If you'd like, you could prepare a dish for me as well, as you wish. And she's like, what? But if I can please your palate, madam, in exchange, that I ask that you promise to eat every last bit on the plate in front of you. Do what now? And my boy takes the coat off and then just swings it off to the side and straightens his tie. And just wait one moment, please. Patty, Carney, out the way. Go open up some burners and counter space for me and start preheating the oven. Move. What? Hey, who says you get to order me around, squid for brains, and what makes you think you get to do the cooking? Well, darn it, Sanji, just get moving already. That poor waiter's getting all riled up. I hope I haven't done anything too cruel for him. Oh, by the way, we got the one we got in last week should be fully purged by now, right? Go get it for me. And he's like, what? That one? Are you serious? And so Sanji just does like, we see him with a knife, which we never really get to see him with a knife. Surprisingly enough. I will say this. The fight he had on the sea train during the Water 7 Enies Lobby arc against one of those, I think it was the people that were with Rob Lucci. I think he was a member of that group. But just seeing Sanji actually be able to use knives in a fight again like that, I want to see something like that again. Just because watching, from what I remember reading it, Sanji just going to town, like, I honestly kind of want to see, like, Sanji going against a bunch of food enemies and Zoro going against a bunch of just like regular enemies and see who is actually the better swordsman, because yeah, Sanji's a cook, so he is skilled with a sword, or with a knife, excuse me. And you know, he never uses knives in an actual fight because he thinks that it's like a desecration of his skill. So I would just love, like, if they were to do like a whole cake island like food fight type deal. Sanji gets a knife, he gets like 2 knives or whatever. Or actually, you know what? Fuck it. Just give him 3 knives and let him go to town against and just have a competition with Zoro to see who actually wins. And they're like 2 of my favorite characters, so either way, I'm gonna be having fun with that if they ever do that, because I think that'd be so much fun. So we see Sanji just going to town. He's like he's like dicing up lobsters. I know how to cook, but I don't know terms. So sail the shallots, quarter the champagne mushrooms. Next, take the mushrooms, some herbs, and white wine, and set them to reduire and fumer de poison. If I'm mispronouncing this, I am whatever. Take the shelled meat and lightly simmer it in butter for just a few moments, and then add a healthy splash of cognate, and whoosh, flame starts burning, and just Sanji looks so fucking good in this chapter, man. I love this guy's art style. Can't say I like the bossy bastard, but there's no doubting his skills are the real deal. And Zeph shows up and he's like, well, aren't things lively in here today? And they're like, Chef Zeph, you're back early, sir. Well, you see, sir, Sanji got in his head and started cooking, and that's fine. He just let him. And Zeph is just sitting off in the corner, arms crossed. Sanji starts sweating as he's either nervous because Zeph is just looking over his shoulder like that, because you know how it is. It's like whenever you're first learning how to drive and your parents are in the car, and normally you're an okay driver, but when your parents are in the car, you're just a little bit more hyper aware of everything. And maybe that's what's going on, or maybe he's just so into it, he's just like, because, you know, it's the honor of the Baratier there. He throws in the finishing touches, and all the other guests are just like, mouths are open, watering everything. He's just like, apologize for the wait, madam. Enjoy it while it's still hot. And you just see like this beautiful looking like lobster. And everybody's like, that's just one possibly huge lobster. Look at how that meat glistens in the light. I can guess how delicious it will be all the way from here. That alone is enough to tell me it was prepared by an elite chef. And just this, good old Food Wars, foodgasm. Lady's just got her hands like this, and she's like, the rich fragrance of seafood broth mixed with spicy garlic. She can't stop drooling. And so, Piggy is like, grr. She grabs it. She grabs a small piece and just eyes shut and foodgasm. You just see like her go completely naked. And no way, where did all this delicious flavor come from? Aromatic savouriness gushing with every bite. Succulent meat, so sweet. It's nearly vicious. Delicate flavors perfectly accentuated with just the right blend of herbs. And dipping it into the lightly cooked tamale adds even more layers of creamy depth and complexity to the flavors. And not only that, where on earth did you get this? This lobster is, you wouldn't know. You would know, wouldn't you, madam? Yes, that is indeed a Tomahawk Lobster. Going into detail about what is it? It's an extraordinarily rare crustacean that has evolved to thrive in both salt and freshwater environments. Its most distinguishing feature for its forelimbs, unlike other lobsters, is instead of pincers, it has a pair of large, incredible sharp axes. An ambush predator, it will hide in the silt of rivers, river deltas, waiting for prey to swim by before leaping out and killing it with a heavy axe blow. Its shell is so exceptionally hard, it's sometimes used to reinforce the joints of suits of armor. Some smaller tribal cultures will offer it up as a sacrifice in rituals and praying for a successful battle. And it just basically saying, it's an excerpt from the Encyclopedia of Rare and Unique Ingredients, East Blue. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The Tomahawk Lobsters is one of the most difficult shellfish to prepare in the entire world. Even elite chefs at the most famous of hot cuisine restaurants have trouble preparing them. There's no way a mere waiter at some third-rate greasy spoon could make a dish of this caliber. About that, sorry, but I'm not actually a waiter. And she's like, you're not? It just so happens that all our part-time wait staff all ran out on us again. That kind of thing happens around here. So the kitchen staff has been taking turns working their tables. That's all. The name's Sanji. I'm the sous chef at the sea restaurant Baratier. Remember that, the sous chef? Let me get the record straight. Those pretentious dishes you were talking about, we can make them if we wanted to, but Baratier isn't about food like that. To provide a moment's rest to sailors in the middle of a long, tiring sea voyage, to provide good, hearty food for any and all comers who arrive with empty stomachs, that is why the Baratier sells these seas. And just, I love the look on Sanji's face right now. It's a flimsy, one-trick tongue like yours has no right to say a thing about this ship. And so you see the other two cooks just, they got this like little shit-eating grin on their face. Alright. So now, madam, if you would please clean your plate just like you promised to. And she's like, how dare this brat lecture me? But I can't just tear my mind away from this dish. And she just starts going to town. And it's talking about how just one bite releases a shockwave of energy through me. And piece by piece, the old me is steeped in dirty money and fleeting flame breaks away. It feels as though I'm being reborn from the inside out. It's so good that it feels like I've gotten a taste of delicious fruit, a forbidden fruit that changes a person completely, granting them a new and amazing powers, a devil fruit. And I really like the look of like when it says a devil fruit, just like the panel is just, it literally looks just like a devil, almost like going back to like kind of like I bring this up a lot, but just because I think it's such a well-known way, like Berserk, whenever Guts going crazy and just like the shadows with the eyes and the mouth and everything just like rushing back. And of course Sanji makes the strip fruit and she loses all of her weight and just gets really like, she looks almost exactly like a transformation jutsu Naruto. And Sanji just lights up a cigarette, puts on his suit, loosens his tie, and basically says, boys, Madame is ready to go. Somebody see her to the door, and he just walks away with a cloud of smoke trailing behind him. See her to the door. Be polite about it, too. And all the cooks are just like, Sanji, that was great. I feel so much better now. Thanks for whooping that puffed old hag's butt and putting it in her place. And he's like, whoa, what are you talking about? I would never harm a lady, no matter who they are. And he's like, all I did was cook a tasty meal for her. And Zeph just, he's grown so much, the kid. He may have outgrown this little restaurant. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's show. Please return to your meals. Sanji, order up for table 5. You got it. And we're back. All right, right then, back to work. What's up? And Carney is just like, what's up? Another ship's heading our way. Pirate ships by the look of her. Well, as long as they don't pay up, we don't care. They're who they are. They're still a customer. And they're like, what kind of funny flag is that? And the ship that we see, it's the Going Merry. Or no, not the, wait, is it the Going? Yeah, it's Going Merry because that's what, yeah, because Usopp is with them now. So yeah, they got the Going Merry. And so we find out that this was actually a prequel to chapter 43 when Sanji first showed up. Food Wars, Shokugeki No Sanji Chapter 2, Sanji, Banquet Assistant. And again, honestly, like, Oda's art style and his designs are so unique. Like, it's just Shun Saki, or Seki. I'm not sure if I mispronounced that. I apologize, but I really like his take on Sanji. It's just so, it's really clean. That's the best thing I can say about it. It's just that it's really clean. So opens up, Sanji's just whistling, smoking. He's preparing dinner. He's slicing up fruit. And then we see it's the Going Merry. So we said, yep, right on course, smooth sailing. And Sanji comes up to Nami saying, sorry to keep you waiting. As you requested, a special cold pressed fruit juice just for you with the tang of tangerines as its centerpiece is both healthy and beautifying. And Sanji's like, wow, or Nami's like, wow, so pretty. Thanks, Sanji. And he's got the hard eyes and he's like, I'll work my fingers to the bone if it means being rewarded that gorgeous smile. And she's like, yum. Zora's just like, ugh, shut up, would you? What are you on about this time, cook? Flirting with anything that moves day after day. Like, you can talk when you're napping in the middle of the day. Do some work, you bum. If I'm awake, I'm stuck listening to some Playboy's dumb pickup lines, and Nami's just like, no fighting, you two. And he's like, huh? Where's my juice? I believe what you mean to say is, pardon me, might I please have my portion? Try being polite. Ha! Guys, get your butts down here. I made drinks. And he's just yelling to the rest of the cast. And he looks off to the side. And he sees this random boat. There's this guy just holding his arm, and he's just like in pain. And Nami's just like, huh? And they're basically, cast away off the port bow. What are we gonna do, Luffy? Cast away. Think you can sing? And they're like, do you see an instrument? And they're just like, just drop the musician thing already. Oh god. And they're like, Nami's like, oh gosh, your shoulder and collarbone might be broken. You probably have some cracked ribs too. And she's like, I wouldn't move that arm for at least a few weeks. And he's just silent. You lot saving me. Should have left me adrift. That's what you should have done. And we find out his name is Castaway Rubai. It's Ruibei. And he's like, come on, old man. How can you complain after getting personal energy from Nami, huh? I'm jealous, damn it. Want me to go break something? Well, because I'll do it. And he's just like holding him up by his bandages, about to just beat the shit out of him. And he finds this picture, and so if I'm getting this right, you're a chef from a nearby island, and since your only daughter's getting married, you figured you'd get the legendary fish to serve at your wedding feast. But on your way home after buying some, you got caught in a sudden squall and you hurt yourself trying to ride it out. And Sanji gets the hard eyes at the chef's daughter. And he's like, you're lucky. You're lucky we came along. Most people would be thanking us, so what are you such in a sour mood for? And he just puts the picture in his coat pocket. And he's like, give that back. Wait a minute. Never mind that. The wedding feast is tomorrow? You have to get you home fast. Oh, did you hear? Legendary fish. Yeah, I like the sound of that. I wonder how yummy they taste. I'll take you back to your island, so let us have some of that fish, okay? Then you hear them. It's for a wedding. It's for a wedding feast. If you want them, you can take them all. Eat them, toss them back in the sea, do whatever you want. And Sanji's just like, what? And we see a picture of the fish. It looks more eel-like than, I guess, an actual fish, and it's got like little catfish whiskers off the top of its, like, I guess, the nose part. It's like, look at that fish, it's so beautiful. And it's like, how many do you think there are? This giant barrel is packed full of wool. Don't tell me, are these Draconic Superflay salmon? Jesus Christ. That is a hell of a name. Alright, Draconic Superflay salmon, also called dragon salmon. There we go. Could have just said that in the first place. They're a type of salmon whose long, sinuous body brings to mind the imaginary dragon. Only during their mating season do they gather and swim in schools of hundreds. Their flesh is considered far more tender and delicious than even beef tenderloin, and is thought to bring good fortune to those lucky enough to eat it. Again, an excerpt from the Encyclopedia of Rare and Unique Ingredients, East Blue. Yep, dragon salmon, but dressing and filleting them takes exacting skill. There's an soul on my island who could do it, so I plucked down a lot of money to buy as many as I could to practice on, right? My friends laughed at me over it too, and it looks like they were right. Even if I hadn't gotten hurt, I never could have done it. No measly East Blue cook could ever. And Sanji's just like, Circuit comes out of his mind and just like, excuse me? Or, no, he doesn't even say, he's like, excuse me? You wait right there. As the former sous chef of a floating restaurant proud to sell the East Blue, I can't let that insult slide, Monsieur Rabi. Besides, if it means boosting the happiness of a lovely lady, how could I not give a helping hand? I'll fillet the dragon salmon. You're going home with your head held high, man. You're a cook? You ain't fool yourself, kid. What can a novice like you do? For you are a cook, you know not just anybody could handle dragon salmon. Only a first-rate chef on the Grand Line would even try. And Sanji, jacket's off, sleeves are getting rolled up, and he's like, hearing you put it that way only gets me even more fired up. So we see Sanji break out his knife, and he's just trying his best to fillet the fish. Basically, first the Najiri, next off with the Ikali, and so he just sees him trying to do it. And he's doing it so fast, so it's just like within 1/12 loop, he gets rid of like the fins on the side, and it looks like it's the top of the fish, and then starts scaling it, and then he's like, just going into the process of breaking down the fish. And he's like, ugh, but the old man is just like, how? What's the speed and accuracy? He's as fluid as the sea, flowing from one step to the next. And it's like the way how he's moving, it's like the fish is dancing on the cutting board. For a young kid, he has unbelievable skill. And he makes a nick, makes a cut into the fish, and all of a sudden it just like explodes, and he's just like, you okay? And Nami's like, you okay? What was that explosion? Ha! See there? That's the hardest part. The dragon salmon's stomach is its most tender part, is particularly sensitive to a knife's blade. To open it successfully requires a perfectly straight, singular cut. You can't even be off by a millimeter. The slightest hesitation or waver of the blade and pop the fish naturals to finish makes it burst like a balloon, exploding all of its delicious flesh into useless scraps. Ha! So there, how hard is it to get now, kid? Not that I could do it either, no matter how many times I tried. And Zoro's just like, then why the attitude? And he's like, wait, he has to do it in a single cut when the fish is that long and wiggly? Giggity. Okay. Sanji's like, oh, in that case, how about this knife? And so he brings out an even longer one. He's like, that one's so much longer than the other one. Giggity. I can totally see that working. And he's like, right, this is a Yanagiba knife. So a tool specifically designed for cutting fish for sushi and sashimi. A firm but gentle pull of the long, sharp blade from hilt to tip will slice the flesh cleanly, cutting the fibers without crushing them or letting any tasty juices escape. Watch, with this knife I'll be able to, and pop. The fish explodes again. He's like, damn it, again. And so it just pops, and finally we just see Sanji just like covered in like fish juice, just like, it's almost like he's got a hint of worry in his eyes, like he doesn't know if he can do it. Nami's just like, oh boy, I've never seen Sanji look so scary in the kitchen before. I know you said it was, but I had no idea it was that hard. And so that chef's just like, just stop. Quit trying, it's over. I was in over my head from the start with this dragon salmon idea. And Nami's just like, don't give up. Sanji is trying his best for your daughter. And he's just like, some things are just plain impossible to give up with grace. But it's for your daughter, right, who you care about a lot. And he's like, you bet I do. She's way too precious a treasure for a dad like me. I was so busy with work, I never did much for her when she was growing up. She was a frail little girl. Got sick real bad more times than I can count. And then I'd go to sleep each night. And when he's saying this, we just kind of like have Zoro in the foreground, just his eyes are open, wondering if I go to my daughter's bed the next morning only to find she hadn't woken up, that she never said good morning to me again. And we see Zoro just gripping his sword. The Wado Ichimoji, I can't remember the name of his sword off of my head, and he grips it because, you know, that reminds him of his childhood friend, the reason why he's trying to become the strongest swordsman. The chef's basically saying, while he's saying this, closing my eyes was terrifying, let me tell you. I had wanted to do something special for her on the biggest day of her life, but hurting myself like this was the heavens telling me not to bother. That has to be it. And sorry for all the trouble I caused you. He's apologizing. I'll tell your cook he can quit bother now. And Zoro's just like, don't. And, Nami's just like, Zolo? Which, Zolo. I'm calling him Zoro. I don't care. What right do you have to talk, kid? It's my decision. You don't know a thing about this. Oh, I know plenty. Cook and swordsman may be totally different jobs, but we both make our living by the blade. When a man says he's got to cut something, he's not going to back down. And so he looks into it, and he looks into the kitchen, and he sees all of Sanji's knives, and he's just looking. He's like, huh. And Sanji's thinking, it's like, all of my knives are in top condition. The fault can't lie within my tools. What the heck do I have to do to fillet this thing? Think. There has to be a way. And he's thinking, the Yanagiba knife is probably too thin. It's not designed to cut through the tough skins and tendons needed during the filleting stage. My Diva knife but its blade is too much. It's much too short. Length, sharpness, sturdiness. I need a blade with all three qualities for this to work. What? And Zoro just walks in and is like, what, you still haven't done it? And with all that bragging you did, lame. And Sanji just he just got that, anger in his eyes. And, excuse me, what are you even in for anyway? That desperate for attention? Well, sorry, but I'm busy. Get out of my kitchen. And he's like, no need to tell me twice. I got my daily training to do. But before I go, I need to leave one of my swords here. And Sanji's just like, what? And he's just like, he realizes this is what he needs. This here is a big boy sword. It won't listen to lame playboys who only know how to goof off. I only know one guy like that, and I know if I left this sword and him in the same room as him, he wouldn't even have the guts to pick it up. Zoro. Zolo? And he just walks out, and Sanji's like poking his nose where it doesn't belong. Whoa, now this is convenient. The tool I need just happens to be lying right here. And I think out of respect for Zoro, and maybe because whenever Sanji goes to spit out his cigarette, he means business. He spits out his cigarette, puts it in a spit bucket, I guess, or something, I don't know. He tightens up his tie, goes to grab his sword and unsheaths it, and he just, yo, what the fuck, yo, what the please, for the love of Goda, please let this officially happen in One Piece. I need this. We see my boy Sanji just unsheath the knife. He's got the sword, he's got the sheath in one hand and he's got the sword in the other, and he's like, length, sharpness, perfect. And I'll show you just what I can do. I'll show you I can do it, you stupid swordsman. And so he picks up the sword and he just goes to town filleting it, and he's just like, I did it. And the next day at Rube's Island, we see the islanders there, and he's like, am I still dreaming? Ooh, is that dragon salmon? I never thought I'd see one in person. Sanji's wedding special, dragon boat of dragon salmon sashimi. Tell us, Rube, how the heck did you manage to fillet that thing? It wasn't me. I happened across an amazing man out on the sea. What? You're setting out already? At least let me introduce you to my friends and family. I owe you so much. Sorry, we're pirates, just a bunch of lawbreakers sailing through. We don't belong at a wedding bouquet. But if you don't mind, give your daughter a message for me. Just tell her a fine gentleman gave you a little hand. So in the end, I didn't do anything at all. What are you talking about, Dad? I have nothing but gratitude to that gentleman, of course. But you were the one who went through so much just to find the fish and bring it here. Thanks, Dad. I'm really happy. And we just see Rube just starting to cry, and then we see the going merry just selling off. Alright, and he's just like, alright, you guys, we're putting on a feast of our own. He shared a bunch of that dragon salmon with us, so we're having a special full course dinner tonight. First up, Succulent Seared Dragon Salmon Sushi. I love how the only thing we see from Luffy is his hair and the top of his hat, and with Usopp, we just see his nose. I love that. It's hilarious. And, you know, obviously, Luffy's just going like, yum, 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 yum. This scent is just too much. My face warped from joy and it won't go back. And Nami's just like, oh, wow. Look at the fatty salmon. It's so tender it jiggles. Giggity. Time to dig in. And there it is. It wouldn't be a Food Wars chapter without the foodgasm. Nami bites it and she's like, the fish is so tender it melted into sweet waves the moment it touched my tongue. And the aroma, the searing gave it, it's making me dizzy. Jesus. I'm so distracted that I can't even read right. Then there's the roughly chopped scallions with their contrasting crunchy texture and tanging bitterness. So luxuriant. They pair perfectly with the sharp bite of the wasabi, beautifully underscoring the richness of the fish's fatty oils. Cut back to the wedding and just like the daughter's just like so delicious, and the dad's just like, maybe I met a cook who one day be a legend. And she's like, I mean, look at everyone. One bite of his dragon salmon has turned this entire banquet into heaven on earth. And then we just remember to say that somewhere on the Grand Line is a mermaid's paradise, and I bet it's something like this. Everybody just turns into mermaids. Like, you got Nami, you got the daughter, you got the show. He's like literally just, he's got like the Little Mermaid clam bra going on, and it's just like so beautiful. No art can do it justice. And we see Zoro eating. He's just like, He just chugs down drink, and he's like, ooh, I felt that one. I can't stop eating. Sanji, this is the greatest. And Sanji's like, it's damn good, ain't it? There's plenty more where that came from. Eat up, guys. Eat up. Yeah. Man, last night dishes turned out perfectly, if I do say so myself. Best of all, Nami seemed to love them. What a great experience to have right before we dive into the Grand Line. And Sanji's like, never thought I'd get to work with dragon salmon. And he walks out, Zoro's outside, and they're just like, And so they kind of just do like that little glare. Sanji looking down, Zoro looking at him. It's like, that's right. Hey, you, give me a hand. And he's just like, hey, give me a handful of salt. Salt what for? A certain gutter-minded cook's dirty thoughts might have gotten all over my sword. I gotta purify it. Excuse me? Who's gonna give any of our precious salt to you, huh? Not me. Why don't you just swish it around into the ocean instead? Plenty of salt in that. Dude, what? You heard me? Ugh. And now he's just reading the paper and he's like, ugh, man, what a pain. And just see the bird. And that is it for chapter 2. Alright. And we're back. I just needed a second. I'm still kind of... That was fucking amazing. I'm not even going to lie. I really, really, really love this. And honestly, I don't know what exactly like the scheduling is for this, because I think the first chapter... The first one was released in October 23rd of 2019. And this one was released today. So I don't think that there's... It looks like the chapters are just kind of released for like celebrations for One Piece, which makes sense. The first one came... Oh, it was actually published in 2018, but it went on to the Shonen Jump website app or whatever in 2019. And it was 2018 to celebrate the 21st anniversary of the One Piece manga, and the second one was to celebrate chapter 1000. I really, 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 honestly, I would just love like 10 chapters of this, like 10 to 5 to 10 chapters, something like have enough chapters so it can get released in a physical form or something like this. Which picked this up, by the way, a few weeks ago. Haven't read it yet. Heard nothing but good things about it. But I'll get to it eventually. I really would love it if they made enough chapters for it to get its own physical release, because I would buy that in a fucking heartbeat. I said this during the reaction part. I need, please, for the love of God, let Sanji and Zoro, like, just let Zoro just hand Sanji one of it, like, get a sword gets knocked out of his hand and Sanji picks it up, and they had to go and fight like another Whole Cake Island, like Big Mom food fight monster type deal, and you know, they just team up and then just go to town, because that panel of Sanji with Zoro's sword in his hand was just so fucking cool that I'm literally about to just try to find somebody who can color manga panels, because I want that shit colored. I want that shit colored, and I'm making that like my lock screen or my wallpaper or something. I don't know, but that's just seeing that was so fucking cool, dude. It was so fucking cool. Like, I love it when Zoro and Sanji actually have like a good like the rivalry aside. It's funny, it's entertaining, but there are some times where I'm just like, you know what? I wish I could be a little bit more friendly at times and just, you know, be a little bit more fun. Like, I think I don't know if this was just like a anime only scene or not, but there's this one scene where it's just like Zoro and Sanji are just doing the dishes together, and Sanji's just like saying Zoro, his name over and over again, and Zoro's just like, you don't have to keep saying my name, you know? And he's like, I know. And that's like, I can't remember, that's like I said, I can't remember if that's an anime only scene, but just watching that was so, it's a little heartwarming, you know what I'm saying? Because like, given what we know about Sanji's backstory with his own brothers, I definitely, and I'm not the only person to have ever said this, but I definitely think that Sanji sees Zoro as his brother. Like I said, it's entertaining watching them going back and forth at each other, especially during the debut back fight when they're going against that giant dude with like the basketball goal soccer thing or whatever. I thought it was entertaining. One video I saw on YouTube, it was like I'll try to have a link. I'll try to have a card or something near here. I'm horrible at knowing the exact timing of when it's at, so keep an eye out. Whenever you see this, keep an eye out for the cards, because I'm going to try and have it up there. But it's a link to a videos like the Straw Hat theme songs, and someone did like Zoro and Sanji is like Frenemies, the song from Phineas and Ferb, and I'm not going to play that for obvious reasons because I ain't trying to have nothing happen to this channel just yet. But I just found that so, I just love that, and you know, I'd love to see more of a you know, them be like a little bit nicer to each other every now and then. Either way, I still want to see like either Zoro gives Sanji a sword and then they just happen to go to town on like fighting these enemies, or Sanji just randomly picks up a sword, or he gets some knives or whatever, and just like try to see, you know, have a friendly competition just to see if Sanji could be a better swordsman than Zoro. And I love both characters, so I just think it'd be hilarious. But I know there are some people who are like strictly Zoro, strictly Sanji. They're gonna, like, no matter what happens, they're just gonna be they're gonna be pissy about it. But I'm like, I don't care. That's fucking amazing. But this has gone on so long. By the time I'm done with this, editing this is gonna be a bitch and a half. But if you have not read this, if you're a fan of Sanji, and if you happen to like Food Wars, please go read it. What are you doing? How can you like? If you like Food Wars, if you like One Piece, if you like Sanji specifically, and you haven't read this, what are you doing with your life? Go read this. Read this right now. Like, come on. Just go and do it. But either way, that's enough for this one. Thank you very much if you made it this far. As always, y'all have a fantastic day, and I'll see y'all later.